Good morning and many blessings to you. Well, morning for those who are in the East Coast, wherever we are, wherever you are. I hope that you are having an amazing day. I am taking a little time to connect before I head out to the new space for a day of sessions. I'm so excited and just eager to see how the energies and the frequency and the healings move about in the new space, and so I'm really excited. Anyway, I just put up a video a couple of days ago, but I had a lot of inquiries and suggestions for new videos, and I love them all, first of all, so thank you very much. It really helps when there's feedback and interaction and knowing what subjects would you like me to share on, and I love that. And one of the inquiries was about light language and my thoughts, my impression, my experiences on with light language. Excuse me. So it really kind of jumped out at me because there is a lot of light language becoming readily available all over social media, YouTube videos, workshops, seminars, presentations, and so it is a timely subject. Some people are very familiar with what light language is, some are curious, and some have no idea, and that's all cool. Of course, I am not claiming myself by any means to be an expert, just sharing my observations and my own experience from any of the subjects that we address here, right? And so light language, of course, has been around as long as the universe has, because light language, in my personal observation and experience, is a frequency. And frequency is what the universe is, a pulsation, a vibration. And the universe and the earth actually both express themselves through vibration, frequency, movement. Even we do, actually. I think I've mentioned in the past in some of the videos, we have a heartbeat. What a better way to amplify that we are a vibration, that our heart beats, that it pulses, and of course when it stops, then this experience stops as well, right? So the heart is the pulsation and vibration of the body and of the soul in the experience of the body. And so light language has been around for all of existence, and of course as we continue to expand in consciousness and in awareness, many of these realizations, tools, practices become available in our consciousness as remembrance, and many who are called to be part of the process of awakening and helping others, of creating a collective, are then triggered into tapping into those memories, and of course if they allow themselves to then become an instrument for it, to start sharing it. It's much like, and I don't want to in any way degrade spirituality, but I want to simplify it, since I don't have Loon here with the earth and the cosmic, right? What dictates that somebody's going to be a hairdresser or a musician. It's a calling, a gift that they came here with to express and to share, and when we look at it that way, then we can also see that from a spiritual perspective, that some are called to be healers, that some are called to be mediums and light language channelers, crystal, and on and on. And so while we can all learn, this is a great way of expressing it, while we could all take a scissor, right, to someone's hair, we all may not have the innate ability, gift to cut hair, like some of these incredible artists. Or we may sing a song and do a great job and feel happy with it, but we may not have the vocals that some of these amazing artists have, right? And so again, just to open the field to everyone, that we can be a channel, just by stepping in. But there is also those who come with almost like a tattoo of a calling to be a vessel for a particular mission or a gift, a creative gift of expression, right? And so with that said, we practice light language, whether we realize it or not, especially when we're stepping into the realm of meditation, of chanting, of singing, of even listening to megahertz music that carries a 450 or higher megahertz of vibration. We're partaking in it, and at that moment of engagement, we become the vibration itself, right? We hold the vibration. And so there is a lot of ways in which light language, and again, light language then being a higher frequency of vibration that fine tunes, okay, and is very subtle energy that can amplify our organs, our molecules, our DNA strands, our Akashic records. Think of a tuning fork or a tuning bowl, and that sound, it's like, right? And it's penetrating is what I'm trying to get at. It penetrates, and it has waves of interjection, and those waves are reaching different levels of consciousness and tapping into different levels of consciousness, awakening, opening, almost like keys. Those vibrations become almost like keys that can then start opening many aspects of the cosmic body. So does it have validity? Absolutely. I believe that it does. Just like a drum can be very awakening and a key to anchoring earth energy, to awakening us into the embodiment of the body, then so does, the higher frequencies of light language can definitely open up the higher realms of our consciousness. Yeah. Many light workers are really stepping into chanting, if you may, or a delivery of light language through the vocals. And that could be, it's beautiful, but I know, and of course there's no judgment here, that some people who have experienced it for the first time are a little taken back, because in many ways, or at least from the people that I have encountered who are light language channelers, their voice has a different pitch. It sounds like they're speaking a different language, or a language that's very foreign and not understood, by many of the people who are experiencing the delivery, and yet it does speak to many people on a very pulsing manner. And so that's what I mean, can it have an impact Yes. You know, can it open channels within us? Yes, it can. And do we really need to understand, with the physical mind, the chanting or the channeling of the individual who's delivering? No, we don't. We just need to be open to the receiving of that activation or that channeling, and allow it to move, in fluidity within us, and see what unfolds from the experience. Sometimes, like I said, it could be a little daunting. Like some people, this is only through commentaries, have been a little afraid of the delivery of some light language, because again, it could sound very foreign, it could sound like alien-like, and if you think about it as an instrument, then, and remove the fact that it's a verbal language, but more so like a tune of an instrument, then we could sort of remove the physical reaction to, like, what is that, and allow the frequency to penetrate, to engage with our consciousness, and again, to allow it to unfold whatever it is that it needs to. I'm a firm believer that just because we're a part of a channeling, whether it's tuning, whether it's bowls, whether it's drumming, it doesn't really matter. If we're not receptive and or willing and to some degree ready, then it doesn't matter. Like, in other words, it can't be against your free will, is what I'm getting to. Either we're receptive to it, and then it will activate what it needs to for the moment, depending on where we are at and how ready we are, or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, it's because at some level we may be afraid, so we're not allowing the integration, and or we may not be ready, and by that I mean, we could show up, but we may not be ready. Over the years of doing healing work, I've had many people, I've had thousands and thousands of people come, and a handful of people who did not experience, the intensity, the depth of healing that so many experience while at the table, simply because they were afraid, they were blocked, they were holding a lot of lower vibration, angry, justification, didn't have a spiritual bridge, in other words, to allow themselves to surrender and to be in a place of receiving, and at the end of the day, we can't force anyone. So again, whether it's light language, whether it's shamanic work, whether it's healing work, this is a partnership, and it has to be a divine exchange in order for it to be completed. And so if someone is open and or ready, or both, I should say, willing and ready to some degree to receive the exchange of energy, that is the door that then the deliverer needs to make the exchange. Does that make sense? So yes, so if you have been cold or curious about light language, I would say, if the light worker, find a light worker. If you're being called to light language, I would start with YouTube, believe it or not. I would put light language and see Uh, and just like anything else, right? When we're looking for something, we look for recommendations, we look for word of mouth, we look for someone who has, demonstrated that they have a foundation, that they have a following. YouTube is a great way to find, to get introduced to light language, and that you can, observe someone who has a great following, a lot of subscribers, that has a lot of videos. That means that, they've built a platform, and hopefully from the videos you can get some feedback. I feel that in the light workers arena, it is recommended, right, that we look for someone, who has demonstrated themselves and that has built integrity in their offerings. And the only reason why I say that, and again, God bless, no judgment, but we are becoming so wonderfully expanded in the holistic spiritual arena, that many have jumped in, which is really wonderful. We love to see that. But we also should care about the experience, the depth, and the offering, that someone brings to an offering. There's a lot of eager beavers, and we definitely celebrate them for having the ambition to step in. It's wonderful. But obviously, there's people who have been light workers who've been practicing and building experience, and a platform for years, and there are those who are just sort of beginning, and that are learning themselves, and we're all learning, by the way. We never stop learning. I think you know what I'm getting at. So yeah, in order for you to have an optimal experience, I would recommend that that you do a little research on YouTube. If you happen to know someone who's offering light work, whether it's vocal, through channeling, or for tuning forks or sound baths, check them out. See what people are saying about their experiences, recommendations, and reviews are like the best thing in the world. I don't get as many as I wish I could, and sometimes that upsets me, because everybody secretly tells me, oh my God, that was so amazing, that was so this, that was so life transforming. And it's not that I speak for myself, it's not that I need the praise, but when it comes to these types of modalities, I think that word of mouth, it speaks in volume, especially when you know someone and they're telling you that they had a great experience. That speaks in volume to opening the doors for others. I usually tell people when they have an experience, especially in the medium events that I offer, look, if you had a great experience, share it in social media, make a mention, because in medium work, just like in light language, that it's still sort of evolving. There's a lot of scrutiny and a lot of fear around mediumship work, whether it's this, it's that, or the other, and it's real. It's real. It's one of the hats that I love. One of the most loved hats that I wear. Of course, I love shamanic work, but it's so healing, and it's so validating when we hear these messages that no one had any idea but the person who's receiving it and the person on the other side. It's undeniable when messages come through, and I think that it's priceless when we can offer that as a validation to others who may be hurting, who may be afraid that their loved ones may be in limbo somewhere, lost. I think it's, and I know it because I've witnessed it countless of thousands of times, how healing a mediumship message can be. And so I'm just using that as an example that because light language is still developing, I know for a fact, because I see it from my work on the expos and my own spiritual work, that there's amazing light language channelers who've been out there again for years, but it's still one of those modalities or healing modalities that is still sort of a little obscure. By the way, there is another way that is surfacing, which is, and my personal experience with light language began in this fashion, where the initiate is sort of taken into a place where they're invited to actually draw geometric, like figure, symbols. I remember many years ago, that makes me sound old, but in the height of when I was experiencing all these calibrations, all these downloads, there was a period of time when for about 2 years where all I did was receive, overwhelmingly inside of from every direction, Syrian, Egyptian, Ayanuki, it was just from everywhere. And with no rhyme or reason. And by the way, I don't draw very well. It's not one of the things that I do. I was asked to sit and to start sketching symbols. And they were very foreign to me. I had never seen them before. Like very complex. And this became an initiation for me that lasted a very, an extensive period of time. And before I was done, I must have had like 48 symbols. And as they came through, they were identified in very foreign names like Dulara Me, Matulaye, in a language that I had no idea what it meant. And for a very long period of time, even though I had the symbols and their identification, symbolic name, I still had no idea like what to do with these symbols or what they really represented. And the whole initiation must have taken like 3 to 5 years, where after a very an extensive period of time, I was asked, or told and asked, that I had assimilated the energy of these 48 symbols, and that I was going to now start to share them, some of them, with certain individuals. And this was very obscure too. There was I had no decision to make, like a person would show up, a student would show up, and all of a sudden I was told, okay, use this symbol, use that symbol. Much like Reiki, where there's certain specific symbols to attune an individual. Anyway, fast forward, I think about 10 years ago, I was asked to release some of those symbols in a little booklet. Everything has been lost. It was 3 computers ago. I lost a computer. I have no record, and so I trust that the symbols did what they needed to do. Just recently, I did find the notebook where a lot of those symbols originated from, and and they're out there and they're in here, you know. And so the reason for sharing that is that it is definitely another way in which initiates who are called to do light language may be called to harness the energy through drawings, and it is becoming very popular. So anyway, I hope that I have brought a little bit more understanding to the subject of light language. It is, again, in my professional and personal opinion, definitely a way to receive calibrations, to receive an upgrade of energies, and to amplify our composite of cosmic and embodiment aspects. Do your homework. Make sure that you're going to feel comfortable. Make sure that it's someone who's maternal, who has no agenda, just to be a channeler of delivery with no expectations. And that means, again, that you, in the highest place, you go to have the experience and just let it unfold the way it needs to. You shouldn't be really told much more than, you know, a basic what you may expect. I feel that anybody who says much more than that is trying to control the way the energy is going to benefit you, and no one really knows that. They can only surmise how it's going to benefit you. Remember, again, free will, right? And so I really am grateful. I can't remember now. It may have been Lady Lazuli or Sage, Cindy Sage. I'm sorry, I'm not remembering. But thank you so much to the viewer who asked the question and inspired me to put a video together on light language. I am not going to do a reading today, believe it or not, and the reason why I'm not is because we're in a new phase, a new office, new beginnings, right? And I want to be able to come to you and share on some of these amazing subjects that the Emerald Paradigm was a part of, and to be able to have a dialogue without necessarily it always being a reading, because there is so much that we can share together. I humbly feel that there's so much that I can offer to you as far as you know, inside guidance, and so no oracle reading today, but we will definitely do it the next time. Love to hear some comments or shares on how light language has worked for you, or you know, if the sharing was helpful in some way. Yeah. And I think the next video, which was also a recommendation, was the correlation between organic eating and spirituality. Yeah, because I love doing that one. Yes, of course, as always, I leave you with my love, with my light, and with my peace. I love you guys. I'll see you really soon. I hope that you enjoyed the share.